Welcome to I Am Unveiled, where we decode the deeper meaning behind Scripture by returning to the original manuscripts and root words. You're invited to read along in your Bible and take notes, or simply listen and let the living Word move through you. This isn't about memorizing verses. It's about remembering what's always been true. Suppressed truths, hidden in plain sight, are waiting to be seen, because every name, every event, every place in Scripture mirrors something unfolding inside you. So stay present, let the symbols speak, let the breath slow, and let the living Word awaken where it's always been, within. You ever notice how life has these moments where you can feel something shifting, like you're being called higher, but not physically? That's what this mountain is. It's not about climbing rock and dirt. It's about a rise in awareness. In chapter 19, Israel is told to come closer, but not rush in unprepared. The boundaries God sets aren't to keep them out. They're to protect what's forming inside until it's strong enough to stand. Then in chapter 20, the voice of God speaks, not handing down rules to control behavior, but describing what life looks like when you know who you are. No other gods before me isn't a threat. It's a reminder that nothing comes before your I am. Do not covet isn't a ban on desire. It's knowing there's nothing to chase in another because everything flows from your own state. These aren't laws to memorize. They're inner truths to recognize. Chapter 21 brings it down to earth. Even the legal-sounding parts are about the inner world, which states you serve, the boundaries you keep, and how you manage your inner life so you don't drift back into slavery. This arc isn't about trying to get on God's good side. It's about understanding the natural order of a free mind and learning how to stay there. Chapter 19.
On the third new moon after the people of Israel had gone forth out of the land of Egypt, on that day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. And when they set out from Rephidim and came into the wilderness of Sinai, they encamped in the wilderness. And there Israel encamped before the mountain. And Moses went up to God. And the Lord called to him out of the mountain, saying, Thus you shall say to the house of Jacob, and tell the people of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be my own possession among all peoples. For all the earth is mine, and you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel. So Moses came and called the elders of the people and set before them all these words which the Lord had commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that the Lord has spoken we will do. And Moses reported the words of the people to the Lord.
They've been moving for 3 months, not in a rush, but in a rhythm that's been breaking down their old ways of thinking. Now they stop at Sinai. This isn't just a pit stop. It's the place where they meet the one who's been leading them. God doesn't start with orders. He starts with a reminder, I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. It's like saying, I didn't just get you out of trouble, I brought you to the center of who you are meant to be. Then comes the invitation. If they'll align with his voice, they'll live as a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. Not just a nation with priests, every person carrying direct connection, every life set apart. This isn't a list of restrictions, it's a vision of identity. Their answer comes quick. All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. That's the easy part. The yes before the mountain shakes. The test will be keeping that yes when the encounter gets real, when it's no longer just words, but a life to live. If you've ever started something new, a vow, a shift, a calling, you know that first yes feels light. Sinai is the moment you realize the yes is not about hype. It's about a new way of being that's going to require you to actually live as if it's true.
And the Lord said to Moses, Lo, I am coming to you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and may also believe you forever." Then Moses told the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their garments, and be ready by the third day. For on the third day the Lord will come down upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. And you shall set bounds for the people round about, saying, 'Take heed that you do not go up into the mountain, or touch the border of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall be put to death. No hand shall touch him, but he shall be stoned or shot. Whether beast or man, he shall not live. When the trumpet sounds a long blast, they shall come up to the mountain.' So Moses went down from the mountain to the people and consecrated the people, and they washed their garments. And he said to the people, 'Be ready by the third day. Do not go near a woman.'"
God tells Moses he's coming in a thick cloud so the people will hear and know the voice for themselves, but he still moves through Moses. It's a pattern we know well. The inner voice speaks directly to you, but it often confirms itself through the role you've already accepted. The preparation isn't mystical in the way we'd expect. It's practical and symbolic. Wash your clothes, set yourself apart, be ready. These actions are outer mirrors of an inner readiness. You can't step into a new awareness wearing yesterday's dust. Then the boundaries. Don't touch the mountain until the signal comes. Not because God is untouchable, but because what's about to happen is fragile in its forming. There's a time to rush in, but there's also a time to hold still and let what's building reach fullness. In practical life, this is the season before the breakthrough where you're told to get ready. Even though you can't see the whole picture yet, you clean up your thinking. You put space between you and the things that would pull you back down. You wait for the trumpet, the unmistakable cue, before you move. And the instruction to abstain wasn't about repression, it was about channeling energy. Sometimes you have to pull your attention inward so it's not leaking into distractions. The third day was coming, the moment of encounter, and everything about their focus had to point toward it.
On the morning of the third day, there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast, so that all the people in the camp trembled. Then Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God, and they took their stand at the foot of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was wrapped in smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire, and the smoke of it went up like the smoke of a kiln, and the whole mountain quaked greatly. And as the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and God answered him in thunder. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, to the top of the mountain. And the Lord called Moses to the top of the mountain, and Moses went up. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go down and warn the people, lest they break through to the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. And also let the priests who come near to the Lord consecrate themselves, lest the Lord break out upon them." And Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you yourself did charge us, saying, 'Set bounds about the mountain and consecrate it.'" And the Lord said to him, "Go down and come up, bringing Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to the Lord, lest he break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and told them.
The third day breaks and the air itself feels alive. Thunder, lightning, cloud, and a trumpet so loud it shakes the camp. This isn't just spectacle. It's the outer picture of what's happening inside. When awareness shifts, it can feel like everything is shaking, the ground under your old self cracking open. The people take their place at the foot of the mountain. They can see it, feel it, hear it, but they can't climb it yet. God descends in fire, the mountain wrapped in smoke like a living furnace, and the sound keeps building. The closer the encounter, the more intense the vibration. Moses is called higher, but even here, God sends him back down to warn the people, not because God is stingy with his presence, but because rushing in unprepared can burn you out. You can't force maturity. The fire that transforms can also consume if you meet it without the capacity to hold it. Aaron is told to come too, showing that leadership isn't a solo calling. Even in moments of intense revelation, there's space for partnership. In our lives, this is the tipping point before a breakthrough. The signs get louder, the pull gets stronger, and everything in you wants to leap ahead. But sometimes the wisest move is to hold your ground until you're fully ready, because what you're stepping into will demand all of you, not just the part that's excited. Chapter 20.
And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. In it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your manservant or your maidservant, or your cattle, or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which the Lord your God gives you. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or his manservant, or his maidservant, or his ox, or his ass, or anything that is your neighbor's. Now, when all the people perceived the thunderings and the lightnings, and the sound of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking, the people were afraid and trembled, and they stood afar off and said to Moses, You speak to us, and we will hear. But let not God speak to us, lest we die. And Moses said to the people, Do not fear, for God has come to prove you, and that the fear of him may be before your eyes, that you may not sin. And the people stood afar off, while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was.
This moment is often read like a list of rules. But these aren't hoops to jump through to keep God happy. They're a description of how life naturally aligns when you live from the awareness of I am. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt. It starts with identity. Egypt is the state of limitation you've left. God's reminder here is, it was my presence in you that brought you out. Don't forget that. You shall have no other gods before me. Don't put your trust in anything outside of your own awareness of being. The moment you give another person, system, or object the power to define you, you've stepped out of alignment. You shall not make for yourself a graven image. Don't create objects or symbols and give them your worship, thinking the power is in the object itself. Whether it's a statue, a ritual, or even a modern idol like money or status, the danger is in transferring power away from the source within. You shall not take the name of the Lord in vain. Every time you say, I am, you are using the name. To take it in vain is to attach it to something untrue or powerless. It's not about swearing, it's about how you speak of yourself. Remember the Sabbath. This is about inner rest, not just a day off. It's the state of being where you stop forcing and start knowing, where the work is finished in consciousness before it shows up in form. Honor your father and your mother. In the inner sense, father is your originating thought, and mother is the feeling that nurtures it. Honor them by keeping them aligned, and what you give birth to in life will have longevity. You shall not kill. Don't cut off life at its source. Internally, Don't destroy a vision with fear, doubt, or neglect before it's had the chance to live. You shall not commit adultery. Stay faithful to the state you've chosen. Don't drift into old states that contradict what you've claimed to be true. You shall not steal. Stop thinking you can take from another what only your own consciousness can give you. All true gain comes from within. You shall not bear false witness. Don't speak against the truth of who someone is, including yourself. Your words carry creative power. You shall not covet. Desire isn't the problem. The problem is believing someone else's life proves you're lacking. What you admire in another, you can embody yourself. When the people heard all this, they stepped back in fear and asked Moses to speak for God. That's human nature. We often want a buffer between ourselves and direct truth because direct truth demands responsibility. But Moses moves toward the darkness where God is. That's where transformation happens, in the place that feels uncertain but is full of presence.
And the Lord said to Moses, "Thus you shall say to the people of Israel, you have seen for yourselves that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make gods of silver to be with me, nor shall you make for yourselves gods of gold. An altar of earth you shall make for me, and sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I cause my name to be remembered, I will come to you and bless you. And if you make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stones. For if you wield your tool upon it, you profane it, and you shall not go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness be not exposed on it."
Right after the commandments, God brings the focus back to the heart of it. No other gods, not silver, not gold, nothing crafted by human hands to take the place of the source within. It's a reminder that worship is about awareness, not objects. Then he talks about altars. An altar of earth means something natural, unshaped by human tools. In the inner sense, it's saying, the place where you meet God doesn't need your decoration or manipulation. You don't have to fix up your awareness to make it acceptable. It's sacred because of who meets you there, not because of how polished it looks. If you build with stone, don't carve it. The moment you start reshaping it to fit your image, you're centering yourself instead of centering God. And don't go up by steps to the altar so nothing beneath is exposed. On the inner level, that's about humility. Don't try to elevate yourself in a way that draws attention to you instead of the offering. The focus isn't on you climbing higher in the eyes of others, but on the quiet meeting between you and the one you worship. It's a fitting close to the chapter. God strips away the idea that holiness is about ornate structures or staged appearances. The altar he wants is simple, raw, and real, just like the heart he meets there. Chapter 21.
Now these are the ordinances which you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. If he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to God, and he shall be brought to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who has designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has dealt faithlessly with her. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as with a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. And if he does not do these 3 things for her, she shall go out for nothing, without payment of money.
At first glance, these instructions sound purely legal, tied to an ancient system. But under Neville's lens, they speak to the inner life, to the states you serve, and the terms by which you stay or leave them. The Hebrew slave is a state of being you've entered into willingly or by circumstance. 6 years of service, then freedom in the 7th, mirrors the rhythm of work and rest. A state isn't meant to own you forever. It has its season. When the cycle ends, you can walk free. If you entered a state alone, you leave it alone. If you entered it with something, a relationship, an attitude, a way of thinking, you carry that with you. But if the state gave you something, new habits, responsibilities, even attachments, those belong to that state. You can't always take the trappings of an old state into a new one. The pierced ear, the mark of lifelong service, is what happens when you decide to stay in a state out of love, not obligation. Once you choose it freely, it becomes part of your identity. The law about a daughter being sold points to your feminine aspect, the part of you that conceives and nurtures ideas. If this part of you is given into a state that doesn't value it, it should be redeemed, brought back to a place where it's cared for. And if you commit to nurturing something, a dream, a relationship, a responsibility, you don't get to starve it of attention, resources, or respect. Neglect is grounds for release. These laws aren't random. They're about ownership of self. Who or what you serve shapes your life, and freedom comes when you understand the terms of that service.
Whoever strikes a man so that he dies shall be put to death. But if he did not lie in wait for him, but God let him fall into his hand, then I will appoint for you a place to which he may flee. But if a man willfully attacks another to kill him treacherously, you shall take him from my altar, that he may die. Whoever strikes his father or his mother shall be put to death. Whoever steals a man, whether he sells him or is found in possession of him, shall be put to death. Whoever curses his father or his mother shall be put to death. When men quarrel, and one strikes the other with a stone or with his fist, and the man does not die but takes to his bed, then if the man rises again and walks abroad with his staff, he that struck him shall be free. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall have him thoroughly healed. When a man strikes his slave, male or female, with a rod, and the slave dies under his hand, he shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be punished, for the slave is his money. When men strive together and hurt a woman with child, so that there is a miscarriage, yet no harm follows, the one who hurt her shall be fined, according as the woman's husband shall lay upon him, and he shall pay as the judges determine. If any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. When a man strikes the eye of his slave, male or female, and destroys it, he shall let the slave go free for the eye's sake. If he knocks out the tooth of his slave, male or female, he shall let the slave go free for the tooth's sake. When an ox gores a man or a woman to death, the ox shall be stoned, and its flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner of the ox shall be clear. But if the ox has been accustomed to gore in the past, and its owner has been warned, but has not kept it in, and it kills a man or a woman, the ox shall be stoned, and its owner also shall be put to death. If a ransom is laid on him, then he shall give for the redemption of his life whatever is laid upon him. If it gores a man's son or daughter, he shall be dealt with according to this same rule. If the ox gores a slave, male or female, the owner shall give to their master 30 shekels of silver, and the ox shall be stoned.
These laws may sound like pure legal code, but under the internal lens, they deal with the management of your own inner world, your thoughts, impulses, and responsibilities. Killing, striking, cursing. These are images of what happens when you attack the life in yourself or in another. Striking a man so he dies is killing off a possibility or inspiration with your own resistance. If it's intentional, it severs you from life. If it's accidental, you still need a place of refuge, a state of safety to recover in before moving forward. Striking or cursing your father or mother isn't about parents. It's about dishonoring the sources that gave you life, your originating thought and nurturing feeling. When you attack them, you cut yourself off from the flow that sustains you. Kidnapping or stealing a person is like taking a state of being that isn't yours to live in. It never truly belongs to you, and holding it will cost you. The eye for eye, tooth for tooth isn't a call to vengeance. It's a picture of balance. What you damage in another, in words, thought, or deed, mirrors back to you. Life will balance the scale. The ox that gores is the part of you that can harm when left unchecked. Anger, pride, self-indulgence. If it's the first time, you deal with the act. If it's been warned about and ignored, the negligence becomes the real offense. Your ox is any power you have that needs discipline. The freedom of a slave for the loss of an eye or tooth shows that even damage can bring release. Sometimes the breaking of one thing is what sets you free from the state that held you. The mountain moment wasn't about God handing out a checklist of rules. It was about identity. Chapter 19 showed the call to come higher with the boundaries and preparation that protect what's still forming in you. Chapter 20 revealed the inner laws of a free mind, not restrictions, but natural truths for anyone living in the awareness of I am. And Chapter 21 grounded it all in the everyday. How to manage the states you serve, guard what could harm, and release what no longer belongs to you. The lesson is simple. Freedom isn't random. It has a structure. The higher you're called, the more intentional you have to be about what you carry, what you serve, and what you let go of. Thank you for watching. If something stirred in you, sit with it. Don't rush to explain it. Let it unfold. This journey isn't about gathering more knowledge. It's about becoming still enough to recognize what's always been yours. We'll keep walking the scriptures together, one chapter at a time, one layer at a time, until the veil lifts and only I am remains. If you haven't already, like and subscribe. Share this with someone whose spirit is ready to remember, and drop a comment if there's a book you'd like us to decode next. Until next time, this is I Am Unveiled.